The Fossil HR hybrid smartwatch came out 1 month ago, and in the first month, there was a lot of talk about the 2-week battery life, the always-on e-ink display, and many other very impressive specs of this watch. But now that it's been 1 month, it's time to set these spec sheets aside and see how well the watch actually performs under daily use. Now, after wearing this watch every day for the past month, I found many things that were not mentioned in the original reviews and many things that you need to know before you buy this watch. So in this video, I want to break down the pros and cons that I found of wearing the watch on a daily basis. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Mike O'Brien, and like I said, this video is all about the Fossil HR, which is a hybrid smartwatch, and this is the 1 month later review. So after wearing this for an entire month, what do I think of it now? Did anything change? Was there anything that wasn't mentioned in the original review by myself or by other reviewers? And also, just overall, what are the pros and cons, and what's it like to wear this watch on a day-to-day basis? So I want to break that down for you guys in this video in the format of pro, con. So I want to show you the pros and the cons and kind of alternate between them. And just right off the bat, I want to note that any cons I mention, I don't want it to come across as like whiny or petty or little things that are nitpicking, because overall, this is a great watch. I love wearing this watch, and I think it's important that I show you these cons because for you, maybe they're not a big deal. For some people, maybe they're not a big deal. But for others, they might be something that would be really annoying on a day-to-day basis. And after you wear this for a couple months, they might really dislike this watch. So that's why I'm pointing those out. Just want to make that clear right off the bat. Starting off with the pros, this is one that was mentioned in the original reviews, but I still think is extremely important to mention now. And I actually have some more data on it. So the battery life is obviously a huge selling point for this watch. Originally, I said, I wore it for 5 days. I said if you extrapolate that, you get 12 days of battery life out of it. Now I can say after wearing it for a month, it definitely lasts, 11 to 13 days consistently. So I charged it probably about twice so far, and the battery's still going for a little while now. And the battery life lasts just an incredible length of time, which I think is a really good perk for this watch. If you're traveling a lot, I think that's definitely a huge bonus. If you're not traveling and you just are kind of lazy like I am and just don't want to charge it, that's also really nice. Now, on top of that, I think something really nice about hybrid watches in particular is that even when they do die, most people won't notice that they're dead, except for you. So like a traditional smartwatch, when it dies, you just have a black screen on your wrist and it kind of looks a little bit weird. Sometimes when that happens to me, I just take the watch off and put it in my pocket, just because I think it's kind of strange to have a black screen on your wrist all the time. Now with this, if it dies, nobody's gonna notice except for you. And honestly, I've worn dead watches plenty of times, and I've never had a single person say, "Oh, your watch is dead," ever. That never, ever happened. So I don't know, maybe that's not a pro for everybody, but comment down below, have you ever worn a dead watch? And like, is that a weird thing to do? I don't know. If it looks good, I think I just keep it on, right? So anyway, getting into the cons then, I think we need to talk about the notifications. Now, I broke this in 3 categories of what I think are the big problems here. And the first one is that it operates kind of independently from your phone, meaning if you get notifications on here and you dismiss them, you can't, they're still going to be on your phone, or the other way around. If you dismiss them from your phone, they're still on the watch. So I don't know why they're not a little bit more connected there. So it's definitely a disconnect that I think is the root of a couple other problems as well with this watch. And so actually, I'm going to make that 4 categories now. Sorry to change that on you guys, but the next problem with notifications is that you can't do quick replies. So you can reject and answer calls, but when it comes to messages, there are no quick replies, so you can't do anything. You can't reply to a text. You have to take your phone out, which I think kind of degrades the purpose of this watch a little bit. I think the purpose of this watch is to kind of separate you from your phone a little bit, to have a nice looking watch. You can go a long time without being tied down and literally connected to the wall to be charged. And I kind of like that you have the basic notifications on here and you just don't have to take your phone out as much. That's what I think the purpose of this watch is. So the fact that you can't do quick replies means that you have to take out your phone, which takes a little bit away from the purpose of this watch. Now, number 3 then, the other thing that I think is a problem with this is how quirky the notifications are. So even when you get them, like Snapchat, for example, if I'm sending a snap, it'll show up and give me a notification on the watch. If I am typing, it shows up on the watch. If I type something and send it, it shows up on the watch. Even though that's not really a notification I care about or want to see at all. That doesn't matter to me. So I think that's a weird quirk. And then the 4th one is kind of a pro for me, but a con for a lot of people. And this is essentially the limitation you have for how many apps can send notifications to this device. So I think it's either 13 or 15 apps that work with this watch, and anything else you can't get notifications. Now, for me, this is fine because it's like emails and texts and calls and maybe like Snapchat and maybe a couple other apps that I care about, and everything else, I don't want notifications. I don't want to know when there's a new Netflix release. I don't want to know a lot of stuff like that on this watch because, like I said, the purpose of this watch, I think, is to kind of just get a little bit more of a disconnect from your phone so you're not checking it all the time. And so for some people, this is a drawback because they want those notifications and they think this is a limitation that you can't have that. For me, I think it's a plus to not have other things bothering me on my wrist. So comment down below what you guys think of that. I can see both sides, but for me, I think it's a pro. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. So getting back to the pros, this is a definite pro in my opinion, and this is the comfort of this watch. I think it's a really nice, really comfortable watch. I have the leather band right here, which kind of broke in over time. It's not as stiff anymore. It feels really nice, and it just feels exactly like you think a watch should feel. So I like having the round face. I like having the leather band. And of course, if you don't like the leather band, you can switch it out really easily. And so that's where it comes into the overall design of the watch. I think it's built so similarly in overall, exterior architecture to so many other Fossil watches that it looks like the other ones. It feels like the other ones. You can swap, watch bands out with, Fossil's library of watches, which is pretty impressive. And so because of that, I think it's a really customizable watch that should be comfortable for everybody. So getting back to the cons, the next issue I had was that there is no night mode with this. So you can't disable the buttons while you're sleeping or anything. So many nights I will wake up in the morning and have like a 7-hour workout that I was just sleeping the whole time, right? Because they are just physical buttons, and if you bend your wrist back like this, or if you roll over and somehow hit any one of the buttons, it's really easy. Just 2 button presses and you start a workout. And I mean, luckily you're not going to be sending messages or making phone calls, but you're still going to have like just workouts recorded and like weird little quirky things that you think they probably shouldn't have that on this watch. So I think that would be kind of an easy fix for Fossil to implement, maybe in a second generation of this watch. A positive for this watch, on the other hand, is the aesthetics of it. And so, yes, I already talked about the watch bands and the different colors you can get, but you can also customize the watch faces themselves, which I think is really nice. I showed you in the original video how you can do that in the app. You have a couple different options, and I think with the e-ink display, it just looks really nice. And so kind of adding on to that was another positive here is seeing this in any light. Now, seeing this when it's really, really bright out, like even too bright for most watches or most smartwatches and smartphones, this one you can see just fine, obviously, because it's e-ink and analog. I mean, if anything, you can see it better. And then at night, having that glow in the dark hands and having the little LEDs back there make it really nice to see, again, in any light at all. So I never have a problem seeing the time, seeing notifications, seeing anything about this watch. I think that's definitely a really nice feature they have. Getting over to a negative, this is one that I should have addressed in the first video, and I thought it was just me, honestly, but I got a lot of comments about this, and that is that the brown one right here is not really that brown. So unless you get it in the perfect light, it really mostly looks black in almost every other setting that you could ever be in. So in the first video, people said, is that a black one with brown straps? And the answer is no. This is the brown one. I bought it. It came like this, and it just looks like it's black. So I don't know why Fossil shows it so brown on their website, and then it shows up and it's really, really dark. I think they should advertise that a little better. Another negative kind of comes back to the connection with the phone, and I understand that they're using some ultra low energy Bluetooth here, and they're trying to save battery by not connecting all the time. But it is pretty infrequent that it syncs with your phone, and there's no button on the watch to just sync up with your phone. I wish there was, because if you're looking at the weather and you think, oh wow, it's like 15 degrees out, but it was 15 degrees at like 5 in the morning and now it's 1 in the afternoon, obviously the weather changed a lot in that time, so I kind of want to be a little bit more up to date than like what the temperature was 8 hours ago. A positive for this watch, and actually for most hybrid watches for that matter, is that the time auto sets. So in case you're wondering with the analog hands, you don't have to dial anything and set the time. It automatically uses the time from your phone and just sets it on the watch, and it seems to be extremely accurate. It always shows exactly what my phone does, and so I think that's definitely kind of a nice little perk that's definitely worth mentioning. The operating system on this watch is not made by a third party like Google Wear OS or something. This is actually made by Fossil themselves. And so because of that, it's kind of their first go at this, I think, and it's not perfect. So that makes sense why they had problems with the notifications. They have some other problems. And one that I think is kind of just a fundamental flaw in their design is that you can't access all of the watch's features without going back to your phone and reprogramming the 3 buttons. And so I think, let me explain this better first. So what I mean is, if you program 1 button for music, 1 button for your notifications, and 1 for, like, I don't know, the weather or something, then you can't actually go and control your music, even though the watch is capable of doing that. So you actually have to reprogram one of the buttons to be music control, and then you can go into the music controls on here. So I don't know why they didn't just make it like double tap on one of the buttons to do that, or, you know, go to like maybe a menu somewhere you can scroll through the options. I'm not sure why they made this choice. Getting back to a positive for this watch, it is a nice minimalist design. So if you're looking to live a more minimalist life and get a little bit farther away from your technology, kind of counterintuitively, buying this technology does a pretty good job of that. At least, you know, if you're not looking to just go cold turkey and go back to a flip phone and you still want your phone, then maybe you just don't want to look at it all the time, but you don't want that fear of missing out. So having a watch like this might be a pretty good option for you. You don't have to look at your phone all the time. It's easier on the eyes because it's the e-ink display there. And overall, I think they really accomplished the minimalist and also aesthetic goals that I think Fossil probably had when they made this watch. Now, on top of that, another plus, I know in my original video, I said that you should not shower with this. And like, for the record, right now, I am also saying you should not shower with this, but I did shower with this, and from my experience, it was fine, you know. And so it has like that technically 3 atmospheres rating, which means you can shoot it with a jet of water, but you can't submerge it. So it's good for rain, good for sweat, but not supposed to be good for a shower. But like rain and shower, what's really the difference? I don't know. So kind of a pro that I think it probably is okay in the shower, but depends on the watch band. I didn't want to get the leather wet, and I also don't want to risk it too much. So I don't know. Comment down below if you guys shower with this or not. Let me know. But I think that's pretty much everything I have to say for this watch. Overall, I think it's a really nice design. I think there's a couple things Fossil could fix with their software, including notifications, including the fact that you can't access everything on the watch. But other than that, I think that they really, like, Fossil's always done a really good job with their hardware. They always make a really nice design. It always looks really nice. It feels really nice. The buttons have a really good actuation on there, so a really good button click. And overall, I think they did a good job with everything, except, you know, software is where Fossil's still kind of becoming more of a software company. And so, you know, makes sense that this is another iteration, in my opinion, in the right direction. And I'm excited to see what their next generation looks like. But for this one, it's definitely worth buying if you like these pros. If any of the cons were a little bit too much for you, maybe check out my other review. I'm actually comparing this one to the Garmin VivaMove Style, which is another hybrid watch, obviously made by Garmin. And they're both very different in a lot of ways. So it's really interesting to see which one's actually best for you. So if you want to see that, make sure you go down and subscribe to this channel. Click the bell icon so you don't miss that video. As always, guys, thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.